Hello and welcome to Health 999. Today, we're talking about a sensitive but important topic. Why do older people get depressed? Depression doesn't just affect the young. In fact, millions of older adults struggle silently every day. But why does this happen? Let's explore. The silent struggle. As we grow older, life inevitably begins to change. The changes come slowly at first, and then all at once. One day we're working, socializing, active in our communities. And then we retire. Our daily routines disappear. The phone rings less. The house feels bigger and quieter. What once felt like a break from the hustle of life now starts to feel like disconnection. Time that used to feel precious begins to feel heavy. Hours stretch longer. Days blend together. For many older adults, this silence becomes a struggle. Not just emotionally, but mentally, spiritually, and even physically. Some people experience the quietness as peace. But for others, it becomes loneliness. A kind of loneliness that seeps in slowly and stays. They begin to feel forgotten. Like the world has moved on without them. They're no longer the center of the family, no longer needed at work, no longer invited to gatherings. Even if surrounded by others, at a senior home or living with family, the feeling of isolation can remain. Because loneliness isn't just about physical presence. It's about connection. About feeling understood. Feeling valued. Feeling seen. And when those feelings fade, sadness sets in. But here's the thing, for older adults, sadness often doesn't look like crying. It doesn't always show up as tears. Instead, it might look like a loss of interest in favorite activities. Sleeping too much, or too little. Eating poorly, or losing appetite altogether. Becoming forgetful or confused. Complaining about aches, but not knowing why. Simply saying, "I'm tired," or "I just don't feel like myself anymore." Family members might not recognize these signs as depression. They might think, that's just part of getting old. But it's not. These are signals, a silent cry for help. Imagine spending decades building a life, raising a family, working hard, and then waking up one day feeling like you don't matter anymore. It's a heartbreak no one talks about enough. Older adults may not even recognize that they're depressed. Many grew up in times when mental health wasn't discussed. They were taught to be strong, to carry on, to keep it to themselves. But pain that's hidden doesn't disappear. It grows. It lingers. That's why we call this part of depression the silent struggle. Because so many seniors suffer quietly. They smile for their children. They say, "I'm fine," when they're not. And deep down, they're hoping someone notices. Someone listens. Someone cares. So before we move on to causes and solutions, let's pause here. Let's remember that behind every older face is a lifetime of stories, and a heart that still needs love, connection, and meaning. Depression in older adults isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a whisper, waiting for someone to hear. Common causes of depression in older adults. There are many reasons why older adults may become depressed. And often, it's not just one reason, but a combination of several life changes happening at once. Let's take a closer look at some of the most common causes. 1. Loss of loved ones. One of the most significant emotional blows a person can face is losing someone they love. As people age, it's common to experience the death of a spouse, a sibling, close friends, or even children. Grief is natural, but sometimes, that grief doesn't ease with time. It lingers. It becomes heavy. It begins to change the way a person sees the world. The home feels emptier. Holidays become harder. And the absence of those familiar voices can feel unbearable. When that sadness doesn't fade, it may become clinical depression. 2. Health problems and chronic illness. Many older adults face ongoing health issues, arthritis, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, or neurological conditions like Parkinson's or dementia. Living with daily pain or physical limitations can be exhausting. Having to rely on others for basic needs, walking, eating, going to the bathroom, can make people feel like a burden. The constant reminder of the body's decline can lead to frustration, shame, and eventually, hopelessness. And in some cases, the medications used to treat these conditions may even affect mood and emotional health. 3. Loneliness and social isolation. One of the most powerful risk factors for depression in older adults is isolation. Think about it. Many older people live alone. They may not drive anymore. Their social circle may have shrunk over time. Family members may live far away or be too busy. Day after day, they sit in silence. No one to talk to. No one checking in. Even with phones and the internet, many seniors don't feel truly connected. And human beings, no matter their age, are wired for connection. Loneliness doesn't just make the heart ache. It affects brain chemistry, immune function, and mental health. 4. Loss of independence and purpose. For decades, many people define themselves by what they do. Their job, their family roles, their daily responsibilities. But in older age, many of those things are no longer there. They've retired. Their children have grown. They're not needed in the same way anymore. This can lead to a loss of identity. They may ask themselves, "What's the point of my life now?" Without a sense of purpose or structure, the days can feel long and empty. That emptiness can easily turn into depression if left unaddressed. 5. Financial stress. Money is another source of stress for many seniors. Living on a fixed income or struggling with medical bills can create constant anxiety. Worrying about affording food, rent, or healthcare can feel overwhelming, especially when there's no clear solution. Financial insecurity often leads to feelings of helplessness, and that can be a strong trigger for depressive thoughts. 6. Lack of mental health support. Lastly, depression in older adults is often overlooked or misunderstood. Many older people were raised in a time when mental health wasn't talked about. They might think, "I should be strong. This is just part of getting old." Or even worse, "I don't want to bother anyone." But that silence can be dangerous, because depression thrives in the dark, when no one's talking about it and no one knows it's there. In reality, depression in older adults is real, and it's often treatable, but only if we recognize the signs and understand the causes. And that's the first step toward healing. It's not just old age. There's a common belief that as we get older, it's normal to feel sad, tired, or withdrawn. But let's be very clear. Depression is not just a part of getting old. And it should never be dismissed as something that's just part of life. Too often, when an older person expresses sadness or seems withdrawn, people say, "Oh, that's just how older people are. They're just lonely." Or worse, "They should be used to it by now." But imagine living through decades of life, raising children, working hard, giving to your community, only to feel invisible when you need help the most. Older adults still have deep emotional lives. They still want connection, meaning, and joy. So when they start to feel hopeless, it's not just old age, it's a cry for support. Sometimes, the symptoms of depression in seniors can look different than in younger people. They might not say, "I'm depressed." Instead, they may complain of physical pain, sleep problems, or a lack of energy. They might withdraw from social activities or stop doing things they used to enjoy. And because of this, their depression often goes undiagnosed. Even healthcare providers can miss it, assuming these symptoms are just part of aging. But the truth is, if these same symptoms appeared in a younger person, alarm bells would go off immediately. Why don't we treat it the same way for our elders? Here's something else that makes it harder: stigma. In many generations, mental health wasn't talked about. Older adults grew up in a time when showing emotion was seen as weakness. Going to therapy, that was unheard of. Taking antidepressants, that felt shameful. So they suffer in silence. They smile politely, but inside, they may be hurting deeply. As a society, we must shift this mindset. We need to send a new message. You matter. Your pain matters. And it's okay to ask for help. And let's not forget, depression isn't just about sadness. It affects the whole body. It can worsen other health conditions, increase the risk of falls, weaken the immune system, and even shorten life expectancy. But when treated early, people often recover and go on to live full, meaningful lives. They rediscover joy. They reconnect with others. They feel seen again. So if you're watching this and thinking of someone, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, who just doesn't seem like themselves anymore, reach out. Ask how they're really feeling. Not, how are you? But, are you okay, really? And if you are that person, feeling empty, tired, or like you don't matter anymore, please know this. You are not alone. You are not invisible. You are not just getting old. You're a human being with a heart that still beats, a story that still matters, and a future that still holds hope. Let's break the silence. Let's stop blaming age. And let's start healing, together. What can be done? The good news is this. Depression in older adults is treatable. No matter how deep the sadness feels, or how long it's been there is hope. Let's talk about the things that can truly make a difference, not just medically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. First and foremost, talking to a healthcare provider is essential. Many older adults feel embarrassed or afraid to admit they're struggling. They might say, "I don't want to be a burden," or "I'm just tired." But depression is more than just being tired, and no one should feel ashamed to ask for help. Doctors can evaluate whether depression is caused by a medical condition, side effects of medication, or something deeper. A mental health professional, like a therapist or counselor, can offer a safe space to talk about emotions, fears, and grief. Therapy isn't just for the young. It can help anyone at any age better understand themselves and heal old wounds. Next, connection is key. Social isolation is one of the biggest triggers for depression in older adults. So staying connected with others, whether it's family, neighbors, church communities, or senior centers, can be life-changing. Phone calls, video chats, meeting up for coffee, or joining a local club or group. These small moments of connection help break the loneliness. Even volunteering or mentoring younger generations can restore a sense of purpose and belonging. Physical activity is also a powerful tool. It doesn't have to be intense or exhausting. A simple daily walk, gentle stretching or yoga, dancing to your favorite song in the living room. Movement releases endorphins, your brain's natural, feel-good chemicals. And for older adults, it's not just about the body, it's about the spirit. Feeling capable, independent, and in control makes a huge difference. Let's not forget about nutrition and sleep. Sometimes, what we eat and how we sleep affects how we feel more than we realize. Lack of certain nutrients, like vitamin D, B12, or omega-3s, has been linked to mood disorders. A balanced diet full of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats supports both brain and body. Quality sleep is also crucial. Older adults often experience disrupted sleep, and that can fuel depression. Establishing a bedtime routine, limiting caffeine, and reducing screen time before bed can all help improve rest. Spiritual wellness is another area that often gets overlooked. Many older adults find strength, peace, and hope through their faith or spiritual practices. Whether it's prayer, meditation, reading scripture, or simply sitting in silence and reflection, these moments can offer comfort when life feels overwhelming. And finally, medication can be helpful, but it should be carefully managed. For some, antidepressants prescribed by a doctor can ease symptoms and restore balance. But they should always be monitored, especially when combined with other medications. No one should self-medicate or ignore the importance of regular checkups. Healing from depression isn't always quick. It's a journey. But small steps, taken consistently, can lead to big changes. Every walk, every conversation, every healthy meal, every act of kindness, to yourself or to others, matters. And remember, it's never too late to feel better. Never too late to seek help. And never too late to rediscover joy. If you're an older adult feeling depressed, you're not alone. If you have an aging parent or grandparent, check in on them. Ask how they're really doing. Sometimes, one simple conversation can change everything. Because every person, no matter their age, deserves to feel seen, heard, and valued. Thanks for watching Health 999. Take care of your mind, your body, and each other. See you in the next video.